road scene. And now we're going on with the team pursuit. Well, the stadium not quite as full as it has been for the last two nights, when, as you'd expect, after on Saturday and Sunday, many people came from a long way away. The coaches, I say, when I went out last night, the massive coaches that piled up there, they certainly supported it with the contingents that came up from the countryside, but tonight much more depended upon the people in Paris who come to watch the racing. A good crowd nevertheless, and probably about just over 60-65% full in a stadium which shortly after this lot's been underway, they've got go-kart racing here, then there's an ice championship and a ski show as well. I don't quite know if they're going to make some snow inside, but I think they're going to put that sort of matting down for the skiers to come in. So just one of the many sports that happens inside Bercy. And they move the track away, and we have some problems at the moment. The French Espoir team against the French national team. Espoir has been brought in place of Belgium at the last minute. Just a few problems while they get themselves sorted here. This is the French national team. These distractions before you start are not the ideal preparation. They sight themselves up, and they're the Espoir. They tell the difference, by the way. They've got the red parts to the top of the shoulders for the Espoir. And interesting, in the Espoir sprinters, they've got young Morillon, who is the son of Daniel Morillon, the trainer of the Espoir team. In fact, he's one of the national French trainers. Daniel Morillon, double Olympic medalist, 5 times world sprint champion, looking after the French Espoir, and also has his son riding in the sprint series. For his sake, looking there, mixing up the French. We've got, in fact, the Spanish on the far side. They kept coming against France, and I didn't see the top of the jerseys. So here we go then, against the Spanish. Cleanly away. Our apologies there, confusing the two teams, but trying to keep up with the point scores and everything else that's going on is a bit on the hectic side. Let's look at what's happened in the two previous evenings in the team pursuit. The France Espoir team, best they did has been 4:18, 4:68 on the first night, and Spain trailing on both nights. They've been the 8th team. So at the moment, looking at the clock there, it looks like Spain is again going to be pushed down into 8th spot. And each night so far, the France Espoirs have beaten the Spanish team. On the front, going through, that's Joan Sanchez of Spain. They brought quite a young team here, by the way. Joan Sanchez has just been harrying around the front there, number 38. He's the Spanish Junior Pursuit champion from last year. And the gap opening up there, 1:7.65. Well, unless something's going to happen to the French to blur apart the scenes, we're going to see a replica of what we've seen in previous nights so far. And there, France Espoir with Sylvain Anquetil There's been some talk about the Sir Van Anquetil, what the relationship is with Jacques Anquetil. I haven't been able to find out. I should have perhaps doubly checked it, but there is some talk. Yes, he is related to the great Jacques, but we don't quite know how related to Jacques Anquetil. Well, certainly that's the general feeling amongst the commentating group. Renault, the other one riding for Francis Spa. The other rider, Carlos da Cruz. And Jerome Neuville. One thing about this sort of racing, you see some of these riders who go on the track now, the Spanish have absolutely blown apart the seams. They take part in many other events during the evening, and it's sort of one event, then another one, then another one. There's hardly any rest for some of these riders, and they've been going at it for 3 days now, and it really stretches them to the limit. But it does mean you get constant racing, something happening all the time. And I know that, in fact, one of my colleagues, Mark Cole, was watching some of it last night, I think at the Tour de Lens, and he said that it's a bit boring just watching one man go round. I think he's probably right, but really to see track racing is best. You have to go into the track. The atmosphere is really something else. The sound coming off the walls, the music, the spotlights, and you can look down in amongst the riders and see the whole thing. And to me, as the French espoirs now catch the Spanish riders, a good night out at a track meeting. On television, we just can't really show you the atmosphere. We can just show you the racing as the Spanish now get caught, and the French espoirs, really, the crowd are loving this one. The final night in Paris here, the fact that this is the B team from France has caught the Spanish team, this is something that the people up in the gods are really applauding and enjoying tremendously. There's enough noise almost like the time when Joe Cocker came here and played the early part of this season, because they do get rock concerts here as well, and that was pretty deafening. And here we go then for the French squad. Just inside 1 more minute, and I think the Spanish have said that's it, we're last anyway, so let him get on with it. But France Espoir will have to go some to move up in, say, 6th spot. Let's see how they go. Lovely shot, they wind themselves up coming down there. Renault on the front at the moment, followed by Neuville. They're down just to the 3 men. The time is taken on the third one at the line. And 4:18, 5:39. That's a sniff faster than last night. They got him 7 spots. A bit slower than the first night. So I can't see them closing the gap on Denmark or Italy or any other people, but they rode the hearts out and the crowd loved every moment of it. Just shows though what talent the French have got coming through. They'd certainly lose a bit of time by sweeping past the Spanish team here.
Poursuite par l'équipe et reposée côté ligne d'arrivée. L'équipe d'Italie, ligne opposée.
Italy coming to the line now for the ride up against the Danes. Interesting curved seat tube on this bike with the short back seat stays raised about 10% the way down. Bertelsen, Kinder, Madsen and Olsen. I talked earlier on about how they ride many races. We've for instance seen Bertelsen on the track already. We also saw Madsen in the Journey race as well. So no sooner you get down, get yourself cleaned up and get on the rollers and keep your legs flexible and you're back in action. Here we are now, Colonelli, Paciuelli, Romeo and Trantini. I think it's Colonelli's bike that Aubrey was using earlier on. Certainly these Pinarello bicycles that the Italians are using are absolutely beautiful machines. Have a look at that one. That's the same design, the Mark 1 that was used by Indurain in his hour record attempt. He used a Mark 2 version, or maybe Mark 3 or 4, but certainly a slight modification made for the record attempt at Bogota. But the Italian squad have now been equipped with versions of that bike where we see the Danes are on the conventional standard semi-diamond framed Schubert bicycles. And there they go. The trouble with these carbon fibre bikes that are made in the special moulds, injection moulded or two halves that are stuck together after they come out the moulds, that there's not much way in which you can make them adjustable for different riders, so they're dependent very much upon riders being of a somewhat similar size and shape, and make the minor adjustments through just the handlebars and what they can do with saddles forward or backwards or upwards. So there's, if you're 5'2" and somebody's 6'2", then I suppose these sort of bikes aren't for 5'2s or 6'2s. Well, having said that, Indrain is 6'2", so perhaps they're made for big people, and then just little blokes have to sort of screw everything backwards. Well turned out, the Italian squad here, and well in the lead too at the moment, 0.770. When you look at them, the Italians, look at everything. Everything's so matched in it. All the helmets are the same, they're coloured the same, they're graphic the same, the jerseys are the same. Everything's right, even down to those overshoes, the light blue overshoes. They don't wear dark blue. You see, somebody's thought about this. They've colour coordinated. They've got nice blue bikes. They've got light blue tops. They've got dark blue hats and light blue shoes. It's just, it's like something else, isn't it? So you might say, yep, they got the money, but they somehow, some of these other international federations seem to be able to get sponsorship from somewhere. And I'll just keep my fingers crossed that the Brits will slowly but surely, because here you see that the Danish team are sponsored by the post office, the Post, and all of them seem to get together enough funds to enable us to compete and spend the money, which really has to be dedicated now. In fact, Russo and people like him are not being allowed to ride the 6 days. If anybody gets an invite, the French are saying, no, we're now concentrating upon the Olympic Games next year, and the riders are being given their programs. They're not being allowed to do exhibition races and so on. They're being dedicated totally towards the Atlanta. They know exactly what they're going to do and what they've got to achieve and what their program is going to be. That's dedication for you, and it's money too. They got the funds. Colinelli going through at the front, met up with Aubrey in the Championship of the World at Colombia and got pushed back in the second spot. Now pulling off the front. Beautiful precision riding. Italians, despite the fact that they're looking so good, they haven't really performed that well. They might look smart, but they were 5th last night and 6th the night before that. 4:15 on the opening night, when Denmark did 4:14 to move into 4th spot overall, and last night 4:15 again for Italy, and Denmark 4:16. So it looks like a repeat of last night at the moment. So for all the aerodynamics and modern machinery and dedication, the Italian team not firing as fast as the Americans, the Germans, the Australians or the French team. Oh, they've gone back now. They're losing 2.57. I was thinking all along saying, oh, it's Denmark's going to take a bit of a pacing here. I'm sorry to all you people in Denmark who listen to the English language. I suppose from now on in, I'm really going to be in all sorts of trouble. And some of the letters I get from Denmark will now be a bit vitriolic. Oh, it's 0.007. So all you people up there in Scandinavia, get behind the Danes. They're really riding out their skulls at the moment. They beat the Italians on the first night, and looks like they're going to do it on the last night too. So a nice little sandwich fight. It's going to be a real close one at the end, and it's 0.33. Oh, the Italians are down. Can they raise it? Can Denmark stay out there and just hold on to this little slender lead they've got at the moment? This one was yo-yo towards the end, but it shows how much the riders have to keep something in the bag for the end, and in fact 15.855. So Denmark then just getting that one.
Composé de 14 Rodney McGee.
Looking back at the Danes, who raised their game towards the end and gave the Italians an enormous fright there. And, well, anybody's got to finish in the top 4 places. You've got to be around about the 4:14 mark on the opening day. In fact, 4:12. So, miles well ridden from the Danes in that close battle against Italy. I think we're looking at the top 4 coming out onto track now. Here we go. The top 2 teams only go into the final. On this lineup then, on the final day of the Open de Nation, the Australians, McGee, O'Grady, O'Shaughnessy and Dean Woods. World champions lining up here. And you can see therefore why Australia should be the favourites, but they've been really struggling the first night. They only finished in 4:15, and their boss, Erminot, Molin and Moreau. Erminot, ex-amateur pursuit champion of the world. Francis Moreau, ex-pro champion of the world. The French, having been victors on the first night, dropped to 4th last night. And the concentration here, because there's quite a needle match between these teams now. Can the Australians pull something out of the bag and go into the finals? They've not made the finals so far. France have on the first night. And there they go. To get into the final, I'm looking at something inside 4:13. Last night the Americans won in a 4:10. We've had the odd 4:9 as well in the qualifying rounds. Let's watch this one yo-yo as well. Left-hand side Australia, marginally up on France at the moment. The Australians and swing up here, Stuart O'Grady, 22 years of age, member of the world pursuit champion script squad. Tim O'Shaughnessy, just 23 years of age as well. Rod McGee, only 21 years of age, team pursuit champion. Brad McGee, only 18 years of age, so it's quite a young squad the Australians have got, and shows the dedication they've had and the way. Look at them, all so neatly matched on those bikes. Took them a couple of weeks training at a track in Germany to get accustomed to the bikes, and here they are now, well up by about a second and a half on the French. 1.7, that's 2 seconds they've got now, Australia, but they really want to go hard to go into the final. They've not made the final so far, they're looking for a time around about 4:12, or inside that, I'd have thought. And France really now have got their work cut out. They won on the first night to get 10 points. They got pushed back into 4th spot last night, so the French probably be into tire. The Australians, who had a lackluster first day, came back yesterday in various within the Open de Nation. Now look like they've got a bit between their teeth. Seconds in it. We've seen this sort of pursuing yo-yo, and they've cut it back now to 1:07.7. The French are beginning to move now, and the Australians 1:3.59. It's still yo-yoing this one, although the Australians have the edge. There's a very experienced team pursuit on the far side, and there you are. Look at the gap at 0.865. So the French then being raised up by the crowd. They're coming inside 1 second, and they've still got just over a minute to go. The speaker Monjos is really winding the crowd up to shout on the French squad. Oh, so is anybody like, come on you osses. 0.167, this is going to be right down to the final couple of laps or so. Wait for the bell to go. When that one rings, and in fact Australia's down now at 0.254. Can they come back? Can they come back? They'll know from the signals on the side of the track what's happening, and the Australians really have to go into the final run for first and second place to try and make sure they can close the gap on the French. But French now have got them by 221. This could take the time inside 4:10 at the moment, the way these two teams are riding each other into the boards. On to the final lap then, and the French have lost their man as well, and they're now 0.677 up. It's showing the superb ability of people like Francis Moreau, and it's 11.674, 10.371. I should think the riders should congratulate the crowd too. They are doing. They certainly lift them towards the end as the tiredness began to overtake the world champions. That says it all. Francis Moreau just going down there at the front, just ahead of Ermino. Both those two brilliant pursuiters, both as pros and as amateurs. Now, of course, track racing going to open conditions. And a quick look across the track as far as the French were concerned to see that they got it. And there, Francis Moreau on the front, the Gan rider, part of Chris Boorman's team. Noted for his lone breakaways on the road as well, with Molling just behind him. So, well helped there, apart from the two ex-world champions, but Jean-Michel Monin, champion of France as a member of the Madison team, and he's also ridden in the French team pursuit team in the past, so they had a good platform on which to build. Germany versus America. These two teams rode off last night for first and second spot, but they had to get through as being the fastest in the qualifying. Can they do it again now? 4:10.371 and 4:11.674, the two fastest times we got so far. Fastest two teams going through into the final later on in the program. Germany and America have been very consistently quick right the way throughout the series so far. It was France that beat Germany on the opening night when they got through to the finals, and last night the Americans beat the Germans when both teams got through into the finals. Ooh, there's trouble. No, this is going to be a bad night as far as the Germans are concerned. Something's happened back there, and they're going to have to... Oh, it's all over now. Bardershan, they've got to wait for this man to come back up, and that's really going to make it difficult for the Germans. They'll reform themselves, but the rhythm has gone now. The question is, as far as the Americans are concerned, can they beat the 4:11.674 of Australia? I don't see that the three-man team from Germany, having lost their rhythm, can be anywhere near him with a shout to beat that time, but having said things like that before, the hammer's gone down and I've got it all wrong, so you've got about another 3 minutes or so, or just inside 3 minutes, to find out if my predictions are right, because if that's the set at the moment, I think according to the rules and regulations, we're going to see a rerun of what we've just seen on the screens when Australia and France will meet. But you never know with the Americans. They've got that target 4:11.674 to go for, and last night they did 4:10.065. So the Americans are quite capable actually of giving the two fastest teams so far that we've got a good old run for the money, or for their dollar, as you might say.
Voilà, 7 tours de l'arrivée maintenant, avec un retard pour l'équipe d'Allemagne.
Germany down, and the Americans are just about to get the German team in sight, but they've got to concentrate. Just doesn't matter about beating the team on the far side of the track. It's this unusual combination on the Open Nation where it's a sudden death type job. You've got to go on riding to get yourself through into the finals, just the first and second going through as regards the team pursuit, and they'll be getting the times from the centre of the track to show how they're comparing against the 4:11 of Australia and the 4:10 of France. Well, to beat the time at the moment, they've just got the advantage of perhaps trailing after the Germans to see something down the track to go for. On the front and riding hard there, that's Mariano Frederick of the USA, number 44. He's the US current pursuit champion and the Madison champion of America as well. So he's been just putting a good old stint on the front to wind this one up and close the gap down on the German. On the bell lap now, 4:11, 4:10s. What they're going to do this time? (10.620). So that, in fact, is the second fastest. They're going to ride off against France. My little notes here correct from the information up on the screen there. Then looks as if the French and the Americans are going to ride off for the first and second spot in the pursuit. So the Australians will only get themselves third spot and 6 points, but Germany so far back then, who started tonight just 1 point behind Australia, could be going further back down the chart. The Americans coming on your screen now in slow motion, 4:10.620 to go through into the rider for first and second place against France, who did 4:10.371. So there's not much in it as far as those two teams are concerned, but a great disappointment for the Germans with that problem to their rider, which meant that they did a 4:17.904 and dropped into sixth spot. Now Australia getting themselves 6 points for